Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going on another deep dive, this time into the life of Lauretta Boston.
Lauretta Boston.
Yeah. Have you heard of her?
I have not.
Okay, well, she was a black British entertainer during World War II,
Oh,
and
wow.
she was kind of like performing at the same time as Vera Lynn.
Oh, interesting.
But her story is much less well known.
Right.
So we're going to be working with an article by Yamide Thomas to kind of uncover her story, which is fascinating.
Yeah, I'd love to learn more.
Yeah, she did so many cool things. I mean, we're talking performing for troops on D-Day,
Wow.
hanging out with like Louis Armstrong and Errol Flynn.
Amazing.
The craziest thing is she's still alive.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, over 100 years old.
Wow, that's incredible.
So yeah,
What a story.
what a story to dig into.
It is interesting to think about how her story kind of, it's similar to Vera Lynn's in that they were both entertaining the troops and, trying to keep morale up during the war. But I imagine Loretta's story brings in a whole other layer of,
Totally.
perspective and experience.
Especially for like a black British woman at that time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to think that she's still alive to tell those tales, I mean, it's really quite remarkable.
I know, it's like she's seen so much history firsthand.
Oh.
Imagine she was born during the reign of King George V
Wow.
and lived through every single monarch since then.
That's 5 monarchs and all the prime ministers in between. I mean,
27 of them.
it's just mind-boggling the amount of change she must have witnessed.
I know. So let's go back to the beginning. Loretta was born in the UK to a Sierra Leonean father and an English mother.
Yep.
And she was actually raised by her grandmother,
Mm-hmm.
who instilled this love of music in her from a young age,
Oh.
which is really sweet. And, they had this really interesting way of teaching piano.
Oh, how so?
Well, her grandmother would actually write the notes
Mm-hmm.
directly on the keys. So she would sit on her grandmother's lap.
Oh, that's adorable.
I know.
That's such a resourceful way to teach.
It's so cute.
Yeah.
And, obviously this really, worked because Loretta went on to study at the Royal Academy of Music.
Wow.
But she actually found it a bit too.
To what?
Well, she just thought it was too rigid, and she really preferred songs with stories,
Ah, so she was drawn to that emotional storytelling aspect.
Yeah, and it's so interesting to look back on that now and think about, you know.
How it foreshadowed her.
Yeah, exactly.
Her career.
Her whole career path. So just as she was kind of getting started with her professional life,
Yeah.
World War II breaks out.
Oh, wow.
And Loretta, full of, spirit, joins ENSA.
ENSA.
Yeah, the Entertainment's National Service Association.
I'm not familiar.
Oh, yeah, so ENSA was this organization that would entertain the troops during the war.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, to keep up morale. So like concerts and comedy shows and things like that.
Right, so it wasn't just about fighting, it was also about maintaining that sense of hope and normalcy.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I mean, you have to imagine back then it was such a lifeline, right?
First.
It wasn't just entertainment. It was
an escape.
it was a total escape from the realities of war.
Yeah.
And it wasn't all easy for them either. I mean, Loretta was performing all over the UK. There's even the story of her witnessing the troops leave for D-Day from Weymouth.
Oh, my goodness.
Can you imagine being there and seeing that?
Heavy.
I know. And on top of that, they had to deal with air raids constantly.
Right.
So it was like, I mean, that's why people called ENSA each night something awful.
Oh, wow, because of the air raids?
Yeah.
Why? So they were literally risking their lives to entertain.
Yeah, and it wasn't just on stage either. They were, living through it too. Like Loretta would walk home with her husband during blackouts, and they would pass all these bombed out buildings.
Oh, gosh.
It's just crazy to think about what they went through.
It really puts things in perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
That they were so dedicated to their craft and to bringing joy to others, even in the midst of such danger.
It's incredible.
It is.
And on top of all of that, she was on the radio too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like BBC programs like Children's Hour and Variety Bandbox.
So she had quite a reach.
I know, and it's especially fascinating because she was like one of the few black women on air at that time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's incredible. So not only was she entertaining the troops, but also potentially inspiring other young black women listening at home?
Exactly. It's like
Oh.
this whole other layer of her story that's just so powerful. you know?
Yeah.
But okay, so let's fast forward a little bit. After the war ends, Loretta gets a residency at this super swanky nightclub in London called Churchills.
Churchills.
Yeah. Have you heard of it?
Have not.
Oh, it was like the place to be.
Okay.
Like all the big names would go there. Judy Garland,
Oh, wow.
Elizabeth Taylor,
Wow.
Louis Armstrong, Eartha Kitt,
Oh, my goodness.
Frank Sinatra.
Wow, she was surrounded by legends.
I know. And it wasn't just like seeing them there. She would actually perform with some of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's this one story about her playing maracas while Errol Flynn. Yeah. The Hollywood heartthrob sat at her feet playing the bongos.
Oh, my goodness.
Can you end?
That is quite the visual.
Oh, no.
It really makes you think about the dynamics of the time,
Yeah.
you know? To have a Black British woman not just present, but like actively performing in a space that was, probably dominated by like white wealthy people.
Yeah.
It kind of challenges those assumptions we often have about, race relations back then.
Absolutely. And, she didn't just like focus on her own career either.
Mm-hmm.
Lauretta also used her platform to support causes that she believed in.
Okay.
Like, for example, she performed with Paul Robeson.
Paul Robeson.
Yeah. The
An amazing activist.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
To celebrate Nigerian independence.
That's really cool. So she
Yeah.
was really using her voice and her talent to, make a difference.
Yeah, it's inspiring.
It is. And to think she did all of this while also like witnessing so much history unfold around her.
I know. This is a woman who lived through 27 British prime ministers.
That's unbelievable.
I know, from King George V all the way to King Charles III.
It's hard to even fathom the amount of change she's seen.
I know. It makes you wonder what she thinks about, the world today.
Right.
And how things have evolved over time.
I mean, she's got this front row seat to history, basically.
I know. It's just such a powerful reminder that history isn't just like dates and events and stuff.
Yeah.
It's about people's lives.
Exactly.
And their experience.
Their stories.
Yeah, and like their stories often get overlooked, right?
Absolutely.
Like everyone knows about Vera Lynn.
Right.
But like...
But not so much Lauretta Boston.
Exactly.
Which is why these deep dives are so important, to bring these hidden narratives to light.
Totally. Because they really add like a whole other dimension to our understanding of the past.
Yeah, they make history come alive.
Yes. It's amazing, isn't it?
It is.
How like one person's story can just kind of open up.
Whole new world.
Yeah, a whole new way of looking at history. So thinking back to like our original question.
Yeah.
Was Lauretta Boston the West African Vera Lynn? What do you think?
It's a really interesting comparison because on the surface, you could say, yeah, they're both these talented singers and, they both really helped to boost morale during wartime.
Right.
But their experiences were so different.
Yeah.
Just because of who they were and the world that they were living in.
It's true. I mean, Vera Lynn is like this,
classic English rose.
Yeah, exactly. And she really became like a symbol of, national unity and resilience.
Yeah.
But Loretta's story is like...
It's more complex.
Yeah, it's more nuanced.
Yeah.
She wasn't just singing for the troops. She was also like defying expectations. And...
Yeah, she was challenging norms.
Yeah.
Carving out a space for herself in a world that wasn't always welcoming.
Exactly.
And, in doing so, she really paved the way for other Black British entertainers to come after her.
And it
was a slow process. Yeah.
But she contributed to that. To that change.
That change.
Yeah, yeah.
Toward more representation.
It's true.
Yeah.
And it's just like this reminder that history is full of these,
parallel stories.
Yeah.
Hidden figures.
Yeah, whose stories just haven't been told.
Right. And that's why these deep dives are so important.
Right.
To,
to bring those voices out.
Exactly, to unearth those forgotten narratives.
Yeah. So if you're listening and Lauretta Boston's story has sparked your curiosity.
Yeah, keep digging.
Yeah, I mean, go out there and learn more about, other Black British entertainers from that time.
Yeah.
Learn more about ENSA.
And the role that they played in the war.
Yeah. It's all fascinating stuff.
It is. And don't stop there.
Right.
Look for those hidden stories in your own communities, in your own families.
Oh, that's a good point.
You never know what you might find.
You never know what's out there.
Right.
So, yeah, keep asking questions.
Keep learning.
Keep challenging those assumptions.
Yeah. And keep unearthing those stories that make history come alive.
Yes, I love that. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive.
Oh, it was my pleasure.
It's been fascinating.
It has.
And if everyone listening, we'll see you next time for another deep dive.
Bye.
Bye.